Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome to Fantasy Forecast for December 19th, 2016. DraftKings score behind you, 236. Really not enough to cash, that's certain. FanDuel, sorry, for football. That's why actually I had got good money in there because yesterday was a loss on basketball, 220, which is miserable. Davis is just, oh my God. I know the second I stop rostering him, which is pretty much now, he's going to die. And is it matchup? San Antonio's a crappy matchup, yes, and they actually ran them really well. I mean, San Antonio with 113 points, go figure. But no, that's just 11,800 is too much. Maybe I'll roster him at 11 again, but he's going to have to come down a bit. Westbrook I don't have a problem with. Let's move into today's lineup. Oh boy, lots of fun. Double up. Guys, if you look at my entries, notice that most of the money is in double ups. This is how you run a cash spread. If you don't know how to run a cash spread, look for my video on running a cash spread with upside. This is how you can win more often. It's so important. I mean, yeah, you can have losing days like yesterday that lose across the board, but there's so many days where there's a 30, 40 point difference in between the differentials, and you need cash games to win. I mean, there's so often that, I win on the cash games and I lose on the GPPs. It's very rare that a couple days ago I just win the GPP and I lose the cash. But, I mean, it does happen, and that's kind of why you can run two lineups. But either run one lineup or two lineups if you're not a pro. If you're a pro, run 150. Max enter a GPP, of course. But if you're not a pro, one lineup or two lineups, and that's it. One lineup across the board, or one lineup for cash and one lineup for tournaments. That's interesting. Let's look at the lineup for today. And take this in cash games. Westbrook and Schroeder as your point guard positions. Westbrook is, I was just starting to mention him. On DraftKings, he's so pricey. If it wasn't a 5-game slate, I wouldn't take him. But on a 5-game slate, I'll take him even there. Even at like 25, 26% of your salary cap. Guys, he's playing up against Schroeder. And the kind of funny thing is, that's why Schroeder's in the lineup too. But Schroeder has no defense whatsoever. Everyone's like, why are the Hawks so bad all of a sudden against the point guard position? Well, it's Schroeder. Come on, watch the games. If you say, well, if you don't have time, I get it. But, Schroeder basically, miserable on the defense. So, I mean, great. Okay, he can score fantasy, yes. And he's had one bad game out of the last 4. So you tell me he's got 3 out of 4 odds in the last time. Will he do 4 out of 5? That's more likely than not, especially against an OKC opponent. We're going for pace and we're going for some speed. So I'll take Schroeder and I'll take Westbrook. Westbrook right against him. Schroeder because he sucks at it, but Schroeder because Westbrook isn't going to bother defending him either. Westbrook's going to keep on just going and going and going. He doesn't really, he gets rebounds and boards that get cleaned up off of him because he's that kind of a player, but he's not intentionally trying to do it. He's not going to stop Schroeder from getting his. So I just run against him in a faster paced game. We only have 5 games today. You're going to be stacking no matter what, and which game do you avoid, which games do you take. I'll go through those in a moment. Levine, I don't know. Someone tell me in the comments how to say that properly, please. Against Phoenix, faster pace. Go ahead. This is actually a good spot for him. When you're trying to find some value in some places where you got some safety to hopefully get up to that 5 times 4, but got some upside on top, it's going to be really tough today, guys. Levine, Harris. Harris I like. He's still mispriced a bit. He's coming up to where he's supposed to be, but if they're going to run him for plus 30 minutes and, go ahead. I hate the Dallas opponent, but it's a 5-game slate, so what are you going to do? You gotta trudge it out somewhere. Wiggins and Robinson. Wiggins against Phoenix, no problem. Now you do have a choice right at the small forward. If you want to run some separation, run Barnes. Don't go to Chandler. The same situation applies. It's a horrible opponent against Dallas. And that's kind of why I avoided Barnes on there too. I think Barnes is still in a good spot because of the production that he pulls, but Wiggins is your better choice at 6,300. And Robinson, like I said on the last video, old value is still good value. And that pick actually was decent, so go figure. But Robinson is still good value against the Wizards right now. You're looking for starter minutes. As long as he's going to get the starter run and get 30 minutes, take it at 4,300. It's a way to escape on a very small lineup, very short slate, no apparent values opened up, and I don't know if we're going to see any today by lock. Morris and Jokic? Morris. Okay, I think that's mispriced still. Also, same thing with the run coming back suddenly, and if it's plus 30 minutes at 5,000, that's a good run for a man with his talent. He's not just scoring dependent. He can board, he can pick up some assists and steals. I mean, all those little peripherals that you're going to need in fantasy beyond just a scoring dependent guy, he's got. So I'll take Markieff today since he's back in and he seems to be getting full run. Jokic, I hate the Dallas opponent yet again, but I find myself really stuck in the position. And the Jokic kind of runs almost like a 5 spot sometimes, and I do think Dallas is weak against giving up boards. So as slow as they are, I think that Jokic's in a little bit of a better spot to possibly overperform today. At your center today, Howard. Now, this was a really tough call because Towns is in a really good spot too against Phoenix, but if it turns into a blowout, it could get nasty. And so there's a slight risk there that doesn't, maybe it exists in Atlanta, OKC is smart, but I don't think so. I think those guys are actually going to play somewhat even. The slate's relatively even today, guys, all things considered. But I'll take Howard. He's been on a tear, guys. If you look at him lately, he's putting up plus 40-point fantasy games. And on a really tight slate, if he can do us another 40-point job today plus, that's 5 times value and then some because he's below 8,000. Everything on this lineup is just a touch of value. And if you can get value across the board, even if one guy underperforms a bit relative, if the rest of them overperform and kind of meet the value expectations, you should walk away with a winning cash lineup. That was the goal today because this is a very hard slate to evaluate. Only 5 games. I'm going to tell you guys now, if you're not basically, taking it easy today a little bit, take it easy a little bit because this isn't a day to, go heavy by any means. So, Detroit and Chicago, that's your slow game. Over under 195, 196. I would avoid that one in its entirety if you can. Reggie Jackson maybe at the point guard position. That's about it because he's under 6,000 on FanDuel. I'm not sure where he's looking on DraftKings. I didn't even bother looking at him there. I built that lineup separate. But otherwise, I would look at them all across the board. You can just kind of go with favorites. They're all around the 205, 215 area. You know what I mean? So they're just floating around there. I would focus on the 2 games that I kind of focused on in my lineup, which are, and you can see the stack, Atlanta and OKC. I think that's a 208 over under, somewhere around there. And then Phoenix and the Wolves. I think they're around a 215 over under, which is actually really good. It's probably the best one of the day. On a 5-game slate, guys, you're going to have real issues today. Play light no matter what you do. Play cash because cash is going to be important today. And take Westbrook because Westbrook is going to kill you guys today. If he balls, okay, it still isn't enough to win. I'm not going to even lie to you about that. But if he doesn't ball and you've taken him on a 5-game slate, it won't be enough to lose either. There's going to be enough ownership there. He'll probably go 60, 70% because you can find a way to fit him in today on both sides. And when you don't take him, if he balls 70, 80 fantasy points, you lose. We all know that. So why not jump with the safety of everyone else where everyone's like, okay, I'm going to take that. I want the 70 points. I want the 80 points. And I'll find a way to pay up for it and I'll fit the rest of the lineup otherwise. Well, if Westbrook only puts up 60 points or something like that on DK65 and it's not as good, well, when ownership is 75%, you're still going to land comfortably in the top half of winning lineups because as long as the rest of your lineup is okay, everyone else has Westbrook too, so you're fine. That's why small slates you get some safety when some of these big dollar guys don't go off. You can still take them and be safe, and really you need to take them because if they do go off and they've got a primed matchup like Westy's got a great matchup against Schroeder. So what do? You can't fade Westbrook. That's the way this season's been looking, and I wouldn't fade him today. Let's move into DraftKings. DraftKings lineup for today, guys. Westbrook at your point guard position. Yeah, it's a 5 game, so go ahead. This is tough. On this slate, I would consider a fade, and for GPP, but I wouldn't do it on FanDuel. That's only 20% of your salary. Here it's 26, 27%. It's fadeable, barely. Robinson at your shooting guard. Tucker at your small forward. Morris at your power forward. Jokic for your center. Jackson, and I was talking about him before, he's probably the only guy on that team and a little bit of a sleeper in some ways that can do something decent against Chicago. Recently, they've been really bad against the point guard position. They're not anything like I was saying with Atlanta bad, but I think they're like 5th or 6th in the league. So, I mean, if you can look at that and be like, what's going on over there? And I mean, part of it might be the fact that, Rondo was out and in, and there's just a little bit of turmoil in the lineup, but I don't think so. I think that they're just a bit weaker than the statistics have been showing. So I like Jackson today to push those numbers up a bit even higher. Barnes, we've spoken about Barnes. He's just a couple $100 cheaper here on DraftKings, and that does make a difference. So Barnes at your forward position, and Harris for your utility spot. All right, that's your DraftKings cash game lineup for today on FanDuel. And real quickly, Wall's a GPP pick. Bledsoe it's the highest game on the slate. It's a GPP pick too. Even T looks good today. I mean, against Wall, all three of those guys could be the guy today, and we all know what you mean. The guy that you spend up on. It's not all four of them. I think it'll be just one. I'd pass Williams today. Rubio's in a faster paced game, but his price is getting a little too expensive for me. I'd pass. I'd take Jackson instead. I'd pass Rondo. I'd pass Mudiay. Ish Smith looks interesting at 4,400 now. I don't know if the minute run is there. Nelson is back in, but I don't know if Nelson's going to get enough run today on his first game back there. So, and it's against Dallas. I'd probably just avoid that today. And then your minimum shooting guard, D Wade. I'd avoid that game with the low over under. Beal, that's a GPP pick maybe. Yeah. Oladipo's going to be out. It'll ignore the GTD. KCP, no. Booker, yes. Matthews and Barton. Those are intriguing little... I don't know how to call those guys. I don't think Matthews is in for a great game. I don't think Barton's in for a great game either. I'd avoid them both today, actually. Avoid Hardaway for sure. He's not getting the start anymore. That just came out, so that's easy. I don't see anything more at the shooting guard. I mean, last minute value, guys, if there's someone for last minute value, jump in on anyone more expensive, you know what I mean? Harrison Barnes and Wiggin at your small forwards would be great on FanDuel, but you can't really fit them both and make a more balanced lineup. I'll take Wiggins instead of taking Barnes against Denver. I mean, Denver, it looks bad, but against a small forward, not so much. So I would avoid that a touch today and go with the Phoenix, the higher over-under, always if it's a coin toss. Wiggins. The other Morris, not so much. And he's really mispriced on DraftKings, where he's exactly the same price as the Morris brothers are the same price. Go figure. Bazemore's back in. He could be a sneaky little pick if he does something with his minutes. He's so streaky anyways. He could put up 40 today, and he could put up 15 today. Not kidding. That's a massive GPP pick. Same with Tucker because of the minute run that he gets. I mean, Tucker could find a way to put like 15 points in and get a few peripherals and have a great game, but he just doesn't do it often enough for us to be happy, which is why he's priced at 4,200. I think that's about it for the small forward, power forward. See, it's so short today. Millsap, Atlanta OKC, gotta like that as GPP. Harris I'd avoid. Dieng is so inconsistent, it's not funny. He'd have to be the guy that hits 30 points today. But if he hits 30 points, he's a 40-point fantasy scorer and he wins you lineups today. GPP only. None of that looks great to me at all. Not a single guy, really. I mean, you can start looking cheap at the power forward position, but the power forward just doesn't look promising at FanDuel. Towns is a great spend up. If you have the money for Towns, you can take Towns, no problem. I like him today. I think he can give you a 50 burger. He might just run you the 40 that he runs normally. I mean, if it turns into more of a blowout, that could be more what we expect. But you can get up to 50. If it stays close, why not? Howard's in a really nice spot, though. I think people won't think to spend right at the second slot today. I think people are going to go farther down, like a Tyson Chandler or an Adams or a Turner, maybe even a Rolo again. But, they won't think to go to Howard. They might even turn towards Drummond and think that Chicago will give us some boards. I don't think so, guys. Go with Howard today. I mean, it looks like it's a nice paced game, and all you need him to do is give you 40 points to really exceed value and get to that 300 plus score you need. So I'd be taking Howard all day long today. It's a short slate. I wouldn't normally say that, but on this slate, this is the best choice you've got. You can go really cheap with someone and hope someone gets injured, but I mean, we're getting to the bottom of the lineup in one screen, so I don't know what to tell you. And that's it. So for FanDuel today, point guard, Westbrook and Schroeder; shooting guard, Levine and Harris; small forward, Wiggins and Robinson; power forward, Morris and Jokic; and for your center today, Howard. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching Fantasy Forecast on this Monday. I'm sorry if you guys lost some money, on yesterday's lineup. I mean, we had nice 3 wins before that, so I mean, it's just the luck of the draw. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. Shake it off, get back up again, and go on and go win some more money, right? That's just the way of the game, Someone gets injured, I shake it off, and I move on to the next day. It doesn't reflect on your skills so much as it just reflects on bad luck. DFS is also about luck so much as it's about skill. And that's about it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want last minute updates for injuries and things like that, follow on Twitter. The link is in the description on the video, so just click there and you can follow me on Twitter. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It helps support this free channel, and I really need subscriptions. And that's it. If you have any questions about today's lineup, go ahead and comment below. I'll comment one time before lineup block. If you like today's lineup, go ahead and thumb up the video. And thank you guys so much for watching Fantasy Forecast. I really appreciate it. Go on out there and go win some big money today.